Intimacy of touch with moon in Vishakha Nakshatra. With the moon in Vishakha, touch is a declaration of purpose. It does not arrive aimlessly. It seeks to align, to forge, to make known what is yet unspoken. This is not the soft brush of nostalgia. It is the hand that steadies ambition, the embrace that says, we are going somewhere together. You don't reach for touch to comfort, you reach to galvanize, to anchor your shared path. Intimacy for you begins when touch communicates shared direction. Ruled by Indra and Agni, gods of transformation and fire, Vishakha is fueled by ambition and intensity. When the moon lands here, it softens only after discerning trust. Touch must be sincere, but it must also match your inner momentum. For you, physical closeness is not idle. It must carry intention. A hand resting on your lower back during a critical conversation. Fingers intertwined not out of habit, but as a wordless pact. I'm with you, no matter what's ahead. Your emotional body does not respond to passivity. You crave touch that declares presence with dignity. If it feels distracted or performative, your skin detects it immediately and closes the gate. But if it feels earned, if it reflects a mutual striving, even the lightest contact can ignite loyalty and devotion that run deep. You carry a quiet test. Can someone hold your fire without being scorched by it? Can they offer you grounding without trying to control you? When you're emotionally vulnerable, it is comfort you seek. It is clarity. You want touch that says, I see your strength even when it trembles. In your most intimate moments, you give touch that steadies rather than seduces. A hand to the chest to calm a storm. A forehead-to-forehead lean that doesn't ask questions but shares breath. You transmit loyalty through your physical presence. You hold tension like a bridge, not to dominate, but to keep both sides connected under strain. But when you are disillusioned or disconnected from your inner aim, you may withdraw touch entirely. Not to punish, but because it feels false to offer what you can't back with conviction. Your body resists performing affection. When your inner compass is lost, physical intimacy goes dim until your direction is reestablished. To deepen intimacy, communicate what your touch means. Say, when I hold you, I want to remind us both of what we're building. Or, my body opens when I feel we're aligned in spirit, not just in mood. These are not ultimatums. They are your truth made gentle. And allow yourself to be touched not just in passion, but in pause. Let the still hand on your arm calm the inner rush. Let the steady gaze before the kiss tell you it's safe to rest for a moment. Let love meet you in stillness, not just in progress. Because when touch becomes not a distraction, but a vessel of shared aspiration, when it dignifies your emotional fire without taming it, your Vishakha moon finds the intimacy it was born to embody. A love that burns clean, clear, and unwavering. A closeness that whispers, you don't need to compromise your journey to be held. You just need to choose someone who walks beside your fire and doesn't flinch. Intimacy of sensate with moon in Vishakha Nakshatra. To be heard, seen, tasted, smelled at physical sensory levels. With the moon in Vishakha, you don't just experience the world, you interpret it as a signal. Every glance, scent, sound, or taste becomes a clue about intention. Your senses are sharp, but they're not passive, they're evaluative. You're not just asking what something is, you're asking why it's presented that way. Sensory intimacy with you is not about indulgence, it's about alignment. It asks, does what I sense match what I sense of you? Ruled by the blazing ambition of Indra and the purifying fire of Agni, Vishakha does not tolerate emotional or sensory dissonance. You notice the falter in a voice before the sentence finishes. You detect the shift in scent when someone enters your space with anxiety, even masked behind a smile. Your moon reads the temperature of a room like a tactician, scanning for resonance. If something feels off, no matter how beautiful, it rattles your inner security. Sensate intimacy for you isn't about being overwhelmed by pleasure, it's about being met in clarity. You want your partner to see you, not through haze or fantasy, but in high resolution. To witness you not just when you are composed and magnetic, but also when you are undone, unsure, recalibrating. If someone sees only your charisma and misses your exhaustion, their gaze becomes a weight, not a warmth. You are most at home when you are seen in layers. You thrive in sensory experiences that honor your inner complexity, music that mirrors your inner drive, Food prepared with thoughtfulness and edge, a voice that speaks not louder, but deeper. You need your sensory world to echo your emotional substance. And when you give sensory intimacy, you do so with intention. You wear fragrance not just to smell good, but to tell a story. You choose lighting, sound, and tone to set not a mood, but a shared momentum. Even in stillness, you speak through texture, timbre, atmosphere. You want your presence to communicate. I thought about this. I cared enough to make it real. But if your senses are flooded or manipulated, if you are touched too roughly, spoken to with vagueness, or drawn into chaotic environments, you recoil. Not out of weakness, but discernment. You know that sensory distortion creates emotional confusion. For you, harmony in the senses is the first step to trust. To deepen this intimacy, invite your partner into your sensory world with precision and honesty. Say, I feel safe when your voice lands slow and steady. It calms the fire in me. Or, look at me like you want to know who I really am, not just who I am when I'm winning. Let your needs be maps, not critiques. And let yourself receive beauty without filtering it through judgment. Let someone's gaze soften your defenses. Let the sound of their voice soothe your urgency. Let flavor linger. Let texture comfort. Let scent ground. Let presence fill. Because when sensory intimacy becomes not spectacle but signal, not performance but attunement, your Vishakha moon finds the nourishment it has always sought. A world that sees you in totality, hears the unspoken within you, and responds with devotion that is sensual and sovereign. A presence that says, I don't just witness you, I match you, sense for sense, layer by radiant layer. Intimacy of kindness with moon in Vishakha Nakshatra. Approach should always be one of kindness and compassion, giving each other space to be individual and unique, yet caring and nurturing. With the moon in Vishakha, kindness is not sentimental, it's structured. It's not random softness, it's consistent recognition of worth. You don't respond to affection that comes without follow-through, or praise that rings hollow. For you, true kindness is a form of reverence that honors your path, your drive, and your moments of silence. It gives space without becoming distant. It cares without becoming cloying. And above all, it remembers your why. Your emotional body is wired for mutual elevation. Ruled by Indra and Agni, Vishakha craves progress, but not alone. You yearn for a companion who brings out your higher self, not by fixing you, but by believing in you, especially when you're momentarily lost in the pursuit. Kindness that touches you must be rooted in respect. To be truly intimate with you is to say, I see the battles you fight internally, and I'm not here to interrupt them, but to sit beside you, unshaken. You do not soften for pity. You soften for strength that makes room. Compassion, for you, must be spacious. It must allow you to breathe through your fire. The moment someone tries to dim you in the name of harmony, your trust phrase. Kindness must not mute your drive. It must meet it. It must hold the container while you forge ahead and gently call you back when you've pushed too far. In your giving, you are fiercely loyal. You offer not just support, but structure to your partner's evolution. You ask, what do you need to rise? And then create the scaffolding, be it emotional, strategic, or logistical, for them to do so. Your kindness is proactive, intelligent, and often quietly sacrificial. But when unreciprocated, it can curdle into resentment, because your love language is often building with, not merely being with. If someone takes your giving for granted, or mistakes your emotional clarity for coldness, you withdraw, not out of pettiness, but to conserve energy. You would rather pause than pour into someone who cannot recognize how your kindness shows up, in presence that endures, in words that hold precision, in plans that include them. To deepen this intimacy, name what kindness looks like for you, not in theory, but in practice. Say, kindness to me is when you respect my solitude without guilt-tripping me. Or, kindness is when you notice I'm focused and don't take it personally, but offer me water or a reminder to rest. Invite your partner to match your emotional intelligence, not with performance, but with presence, and allow yourself to receive unstructured care without proving you've earned it. Let yourself be nurtured without agenda. Let a simple act, someone folding your coat or listening without solving, enter you without analysis. Because when kindness becomes not a rescue but a rhythm, when it makes room for your flame without fearing it, your Vishakha moon finds the intimacy it quietly craves. a companionship that is loyal, discerning, and endlessly respectful. A devotion that says, I won't dim your fire, I'll build the hearth around it, and sit close because I choose the warmth of being near you. Intimacy of growth with Moon and Vishakha Nakshatra, allowing each to grow at their own pace, yet being self-honoring, by allowing themselves to be loved and nurtured even if it means with other partners. With the Moon in Vishakha, growth is not optional, it's sacred. You are not here for stagnant affection, no matter how comfortable. You are here to evolve, transform, and refine the soul through fire, failure, and fierce commitment. Your emotional body only blooms in relationships where ambition, spiritual or worldly, is not just tolerated, but revered. Growth is your love language, but it must be mutual. Ruled by Indra, the king of the gods, and Agni, the god of fire, Vishakha brings a divine restlessness to the moon. This means your emotional world is wired to change and challenge. You are not soothed by stillness unless it has meaning. If a relationship grows stale, if it clings to old versions of you, your moon begins to recoil. You need the kind of intimacy that adapts, that expands, that allows you to become who you were not yet ready to be yesterday. But here's the paradox. You don't need someone to grow with you at the exact same speed. You need someone who honors the truth of your evolution. Someone who doesn't guilt you for outgrowing an old rhythm, but who trusts that your emotional expansion still holds space for them. Your moon doesn't need constant closeness. It needs unwavering respect for the direction you're going. You give this same permission in return. You don't flinch when your partner seeks solitude, studies, new landscapes, or even new people, as long as the integrity between you remains intact. You are loyal, but not possessive. You want love that feels sovereign yet soul-connected. And if your partner's growth path leads them into unfamiliar territory, your instinct is not to cling, but to observe. Will they bring back more of themselves or lose their anchor? Your challenge is remembering that you too deserve nurturance as you grow. Not just respect for your mission, but softness for your missteps. You often operate like a strategist, even in love. But true growth requires surrender, not just structure. Let yourself be held while becoming. Let love catch you when your fire dims. You don't always have to carry yourself through the transition alone. To deepen this intimacy, speak your growth ethic clearly. Say, I don't need perfection, I need progress, and I need a partner who doesn't punish me for changing. Or, I love you most when you grow into your truth, even if it's inconvenient, even if it stretches what we know. Frame love not as containment, but as fertile ground for evolution. And let yourself experience intimacy without achievement. Let the relationship be a refuge, not a proving ground. Let someone kiss your tired mind, not just your brilliant strategy. Let yourself be loved in the in-between stages, when you're molting, redefining, not yet clear who you are becoming. Because when growth becomes not a threat, but a shared value, when it is honored as a living, breathing rhythm between two souls, your Vishakha moon finds the intimacy it's secretly built for. A love that doesn't chain your progress, but walks beside it. A union that says, I won't chase who you were, I'll meet who you're becoming, and grow my own truth alongside yours. Intimacy of activity with Moon and Vishakha Nakshatra, to be honoring of oneself and the other, in what and with whom they want to participate in activities, without force or compulsion. With the Moon in Vishakha, activity is not a pastime. It is a platform for purpose. You are not drawn to action just for motion's sake. Every shared moment, every plan, every ritual must mean something. You thrive in intentional engagement, where movement reflects mutual alignment. Whether it's a project, a trip, or a conversation, if it feels hollow or forced, your energy retreats. Ruled by Indra and Agni, Vishakha carries the force of divine ambition. Your emotional landscape responds to direction. Activities must move you toward clarity, progress, or depth, not just distraction. This makes you an intentional partner, the one who suggests we build something together, not just binge watch. The one who asks, what are we creating here? Even during a walk or while making dinner. But this intensity doesn't mean you demand sameness. In fact, you deeply respect individuality, as long as it's honest. You are capable of incredible loyalty, even when interests diverge. What matters to you is that your partner shows up in their own life with the same level of engagement you bring to yours. Shared activity must be mutual, not mirrored. You don't mind if your partner hikes while you read, or they volunteer while you design. What you mind is disconnect, apathy, going through the motions. Activities done from obligation without joy, purpose, or presence drain you. You'll often remove yourself quietly from dynamics that feel performative, even if externally harmonious. In relationships, your ideal is a parallel pursuit, two people moving with intent, sometimes side by side, sometimes apart, but always towards something real. You give generously when someone is engaged. You are the kind of partner who shows up to cheer, support, plan, or co-create. But if that energy isn't returned or is taken for granted, you can become emotionally austere, detached, focused inward again, where your drive never wanes. To deepen this intimacy, speak your rhythm aloud. Say, I feel most connected when we're doing things with intention, not just because we're supposed to. Or, I don't need to do everything with you, but I do need to feel like we're both alive in our choices, not just coasting. These are not criticisms, they're commitments to energetic integrity. And allow yourself to play. Not every act must be a mission. Let joy lead sometimes. Let shared laughter be enough. Let the purpose be the connection itself, not just the outcome. Your moon doesn't always need progress. Sometimes it just needs presence with purpose. Because when activity becomes not compulsion but communion, when it reflects truth without control, your Vishakha moon finds the intimacy it burns for. A dynamic, self-aware love that respects the sovereignty of each path and the beauty of walking together. A partnership that says, move in your rhythm. I'll meet you not to match, but to honor. Let's build something from the integrity of who we both are, not who we feel we must become. Intimacy of allowance with moon in Vishakha Nakshatra. To allow each to be who and what they are at any given moment, day, or week of their life, knowing that one is not a master or slave of another. With the moon in Vishakha, allowance is liberation, not apathy. You do not seek control in love, but neither do you tolerate aimlessness. You want a partnership where the emotional weather can shift, storm, shine, silence, spark, and no one flinches. You seek intimacy with someone who understands that your constancy lies in your integrity, not in your moods. Your moon, governed by the relentless drive of Indra and the purifying heat of Agni, is naturally future-focused. You live in pursuit, in motion, in challenge, but you are also deeply human, susceptible to exhaustion, to the craving for stillness, to brief but intense dips in clarity. During those phases, what you need most is space without threat. You need to be allowed your inconsistencies without having your entire character questioned. In love, you are drawn to partners who understand paradox, that you can be ambitious and tender, that you can lead and still long to be held, that you can be focused one day, lost the next, and neither state diminishes your worth. You are devoted to truth, and truth is fluid, a partner who insists on labeling you, locking you into an emotional persona, or needing you to return to normal before you're ready. This person will quietly lose access to your inner world. Allowance, for you, is sacred space. It says, I see who you're becoming today, and I won't rush you back to who you were yesterday. And you give this same freedom in return. You may not always understand your partner's states, but if they are honest, if they remain emotionally accountable, you respect their journey without trying to reroute it. However, if allowance turns into emotional evasion, if your partner uses freedom to bypass connection or responsibility, you will notice. And you will not tolerate it. For you, allowance must be active, not passive. A partner who disappears behind vague words or habitual withdrawal will provoke your detachment. You don't chase ghosts, you engage with presence. To deepen this intimacy, speak to the sanctity of your evolution. Say, some days I lead, some days I fall apart. What I need is someone who doesn't confuse either for the full story. Or, I won't always be consistent, but I will always be honest. Let's make space for the real. Let this become the bedrock of trust, not perfection, but permission. And allow yourself to exist outside of roles. You don't always have to be the builder, the thinker, the stabilizer. You can be raw, contradictory, irrational. You don't have to earn love through coherence. Let yourself be received even when your edges are showing. Because when allowance becomes not detachment, but devotion to truth, when love becomes a space where you can shapeshift without fear, your Vishakha moon finds the intimacy it quietly hungers for, a union rooted in presence. not performance. A bond that says, you do not need to shrink to be understood. You do not need to freeze your fire to be safe. Be who you are moment to moment. I will not look away. Intimacy of giving with moon in Vishakha Nakshatra. Knowing and being that all love originates in the act of giving, safety of space, nurturing and caring. With the moon in Vishakha, giving is an act of dignity. You do not give to please. You give to empower. Your love is not decorative. It is foundational. You don't just offer affection or support. You offer structure, attention, and presence that says, you matter enough to build with. And that giving, when it's respected, can be endless. But when it's taken lightly, you become measured, even guarded. Because for you, giving isn't casual, it's consecrated. Your emotional nature is forged in the fire of Agni and directed by the ambition of Indra. You are not one to scatter energy. You focus it, intentionally, even spiritually. You give what is needed, not always what is expected. That means you may not always offer warmth in the traditional form, but you will show up at the exact moment when someone needs to be seen, steadied, or reminded of who they are. You give with precision, and that is your care. This form of emotional generosity often gets misunderstood. Because your giving isn't always soft, it is sometimes mistaken for control. But you are not interested in domination. You are interested in activation. You want your love to spark something in the other person. Clarity, courage, stability, self-respect. And so you give what fosters that, not what simply soothes. You are also a natural builder in relationship, willing to invest in long-term growth, to pour energy into shared goals. You give with loyalty, but you're watching. Does this person rise with what I give, or do they collapse into it? If it's the latter, your moon pulls back, not out of meanness, but out of instinct. You won't let your emotional resources be drained by someone who doesn't know their own strength. Still, you crave opportunities to give deeply. You are not afraid of effort. You are afraid of irrelevance. You want your giving to land, to uplift, to matter. You want to create an emotional ecosystem that nurtures two people's ambitions and inner lives, where touch, time, and words are all infused with intention. To deepen this intimacy, share how your giving works. Say, when I give, it's my way of building something with you, not of trying to fix or control. Or, I give when I trust that what I offer will be respected, not consumed. Help your partner understand that your giving is not a currency, it's a sacred design for how you build closeness. And allow yourself to give from softness, not just strategy. Let yourself give even when there is no outcome to control. Let yourself nurture even when the other person doesn't need you, just because they're worthy. Let yourself give because you're full, not because you're proving your value. Because when giving becomes not transaction but transmission, when your energy flows freely without needing to be measured against merit, your Vishakha moon finds the intimacy it burns for. A connection where love is given not out of lack, but from vision. A sacred act that says, this isn't just affection, it's infrastructure. This is how I hold you while you rise. And I give it, not because you ask, but because I see what we can build in each other. Intimacy of receiving with moon in Vishakha Nakshatra. Knowing and being that intimacy is an act of receiving with gratitude and originates in the inner feeling of being abundant in giving, receiving another at all levels, physical, emotional, and mental. With the moon in Vishakha, receiving is a spiritual threshold. It is not simply about allowing love in. It's about being willing to be seen in your rawness, your ambition, your silence, your contradiction. You who so often give with fire and focus may find it unfamiliar, even unsettling, to simply receive without needing to immediately transform, offer, or reciprocate. But when you do, the intimacy that blooms is elemental, quiet, unshakable, ruled by Indra, the sovereign, and Agni, the purifier. Vishakha is oriented toward effort. You are most emotionally at home when you are doing, building, clarifying, refining. You trust your output, but receiving? That requires relinquishing some control. That requires softening into the unknown. It requires letting someone hold you without explanation, without proof that you deserve it. And that is your challenge. Letting yourself be nurtured in ways you can't measure or direct. Letting yourself be touched where your ambition is quiet. Letting someone's love land in the parts of you that don't perform. You may reflexively push away compliments, support, or affection, not because you don't want it, but because part of you wonders, will they see me clearly once I open, or will they try to shape me into something else? True receiving for you isn't passive. It's intentional surrender. It's the choice to let love reach the private sanctums of your emotional body, your doubts, your unspoken fatigue, your unmet needs. And it's the trust that the one offering love won't misuse their access. When this trust is earned, you become astonishingly open. You receive like a temple receives light, still, steady, sacred. You let their gaze become a mirror, their care become an anchor. And from that place, you flourish, not just alone, but with. Because your capacity to receive deeply is directly connected to your capacity to love expansively. To deepen this intimacy, speak what receiving looks like for you in practical terms. Say, sometimes I need help slowing down enough to let your love in. Or, I feel safest receiving when I know I'm not being judged for needing. Let your partner see the inner mechanics of your vulnerability, not to explain it away, but to invite presence. And allow yourself to receive without obligation. Let their touch land without earning it. Let their words of affirmation stay with you, even if you don't yet believe them. Let someone make space for you, not because you've been perfect, but because you are worthy. Let your own breath meet theirs, not with striving, but stillness. Because when receiving becomes not a gap in power, but an act of sacred trust, when you allow another to pour into your soul without having to shape it first, your Vishakha moon finds the intimacy it was always destined to hold. A love that does not test your worth, but honors your being. A connection that says, you don't have to lead this moment, you don't have to hold everything. Let me meet you, not where you shine, but where you rest, and I will love you there too.